Now I wanted to dive into one particular kit here, and that is the Bell X-1. And so, Dylan, correct me if I'm wrong, but does this fall under the kind of space race general theme, or is this something separate?
No, this was actually part of our kickoff of the space race theme. It came in the first wave, and so I think that it was an especially cool. First of all, because it's absolutely iconic. But then, anytime you get to have a 1/35th scale model paired with a mini kit, and then both of them being made by outside designers, and then it's the fact that it's space race. It really was just kind of like something that really proved the new era that we're in here at Brickmania. And I think that the design, especially at that 1/35th scale, was really well done. That wing shape you'll see particularly was tough to capture, but something they did an excellent job with. And then the little one is just so adorable. It was like, come on, of course we're going to include that one with a little bundle action, because it's like, who doesn't want to have that thing next to? I mean, yeah, look at that. Look how good that looks. So
I've got them right here. Very impressive builds for sure. Yeah. So you can see kind of the scale of the two of them next to each other there. Like you said, you sell both of them on the website right now. But one thing that's so cool about this is, going back to our earlier discussion about different designers, is these were both designed by different people, correct?
Yep. So we have Plain Bricks and Brick Squadron there. Those are their Instagram handles that are both working on that have worked on those kits. And I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, Mary, you were the one who were helping to transition those into becoming actual kits. So I'll let you speak a little bit more on that process.
Yeah, I worked on the larger one with Plain Bricks, and then Dan did the tiny one. And I guess, I mean, overall, I also did the instructions for it, and I test built it I don't know, 3 times maybe. So I had a lot of fun putting it together. It's nice with these outside designers. There kind of is a day where you're just following instructions and building a new kit. And that wasn't something I got to do before, when it was just designing from scratch each time. So I'm really enjoying that. And the larger plane was very fun to build. And yeah, I guess it was also nice because it was bright orange. That is the other thing that I really enjoyed about it, was because normally you're just working with dark bluish gray and tan, but we got some bright colors in this one. So I thought it was even more fun because of that.
The orange is something that struck me right when I opened the kit here and started building both of these, because like you said, it's very different from Brickmania. It's just a different look for a plane in general. Most planes aren't bright orange like this, but it does help it look really cool on display then. Another thing I noticed while building this was just how kind of intricate the piece usage was. So there's some really advanced kind of building techniques in the bigger kit here, especially to get all of the wings to be able to attach properly, a lot of kind of sideways studs not on top type building. So talk about, if you can, Mary, kind of your approach to that. Do things ever get too complex for you? Are you trying to make sure that, it's still buildable with the instructions? How do you approach all of that?
Yeah, for this kit in particular, it was basically a big block in the center with studs pointing out on all different sides. So then we could get that round along the whole entire thing, and then it tapered off in the back. So inside each one of those, it had to get smaller as it got towards the back. And Jonah did a really great job with getting that shaping in there. Honestly, when I got in there, I changed 2 things just so it was a little bit more structurally sound. But it he built it very solid, and got that wing angle in there. I guess instructions wise, it's just really making sure the order for a lot of these things are super important, because otherwise things could it can be very difficult to put something in if you forgot about it or whatever. So it's just after test building it, you get a good idea of how things need to be put together. So instruction wise, it was just kind of straightforward from the build. But overall, yeah, it's a very interesting and intricate build, especially along the tail end of that as it tapers off.
For sure. Yeah, that's definitely what stood out to me. And so I think that's neat, though, because as you're building, then you learn more of these advanced techniques that can definitely kind of elevate your building when you're going into mocks or any other type of Lego building. So I think that's a really neat feature of it. So I guess we can talk about this kit in its broader historical context as well. Whoever maybe wants to tackle this, Dan, I don't know if you've researched it much or not. Kind of why this kit is important from an aeronautical standpoint, and why Brickmania decided to tackle this project.
Well, it's the Bell X-1 was the first plane to break the sound barrier, and that was Chuck Yeager, the famous test pilot, famous World War II pilot. He did he was the one who did it, and this was the plane that broke the sound barrier. It was a real milestone. It's a rocket powered plane dropped from a B-29 bomber once it was up in at altitude. And there was a lot of people that said that you couldn't break the sound barrier. And during World War II, they actually, had a real issue with planes flying too fast to the sound barrier, breaking apart. So there was a real concern that this would never, we'd never be able to get past the sound barrier. So that's an important milestone on the space race, being that if you're going to escape Earth's orbit, you're going to have to get past the sound barrier because, in order to get past Earth's gravity, you have to go faster and faster and faster. So this was an important piece of that puzzle, getting a manned flight past the sound barrier. Paved the way for a lot of future, like not only aircraft but rockets. A lot of really advanced technology was used. A lot of really old-fashioned, technology was actually used too. Like the seat inside this thing was just like you're basically sitting on a little wooden plank with some padding on it. So it was a real shoestring. Let's just get this job done, and they got it done, and that's kind of like paved the way for a lot of the way that the space space race, or at least the American contribution, would go. It was like real kind of seat of the pants, a lot of bravado, and that just paved the way for everything that followed.
Right. It's such a fascinating time period of American history there, following World War II. There have been so many kind of technological advances during the war, and then that just carried forward into all of these different planes like the one, the Bell X-1 that we have here. So much crazy work being done and experimentation. So I'm sure there's a lot from that period that you can use as inspiration for kits.
Right. And it goes hand in hand with, space race. It's all about advancement. It's all about like moving your technology forward and building confidence that you could do these things, that barriers that were said to be unbreakable aren't unbreakable. They are, they're just obstacles on your milestones on the way to the next big, the next big thing that you have to do, the next big accomplishment. In 1963 or the early 1960s, I think it was Kennedy's inauguration, he said that they wanted to put a man on the moon by the end of the 60s. And of course they did it. And all of these little milestones really all added up. So you had breaking the sound barrier to Project Mercury, to Gemini, and then finally to Apollo, and then beyond. So, once we got to the moon, we didn't stop. We kept going into space and doing bigger, better, different things.
It's exciting stuff, and it's so cool that these kits now, Dylan, are these both of these currently still available on the Brickmania website for people?
Yes, indeed, both of them are still available, which is rare at this point. But we launched it as an initial bundle, and then I think we did a double batch right off the bat. So that was one of the reasons that they're still hanging around, which is good if you're first seeing this and didn't know that it originally existed. But I just wanted to say too that I think there's a really cool parallel between the space race era and kind of the newer era going on here at Brickmania, and that's because you saw in that time when great people put their heads together, incredible things happen. And I think that's what we're seeing with some of the outside designers now. Is it's not just a single person working a model all the way through these phases. You're really getting a lot of collaboration, and when that happens, people win. That's where we saw a lot of evolution in our minifigs and our 3D print department come through, is when people started collaborating, things started being produced that people had never seen before. And I'm hoping that's what we're going to see continuing moving forward with the kits as well, just because when great minds get together, the consumers win.
For sure. Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. And I know in the product image there, Lando, we saw the minifigure of Chuck Yeager that comes with the plane. That's also an impressive part of the kit, is again one of those very detailed minifigures from Brickmania that is included with it. So you get to have the actual historical figure there next to his plane.
And what's interesting about it is, again, the research side of it. He's wearing a relatively simple loadout there. It's a flight suit, it's a leather jacket, it's a World War II parachute harness, and of course he's got his iconic Rolex Oyster there watch. So again, more watches. I don't know. Maybe pilots have to time things. I guess that's what's going on here. But in the helmet as well, it's a simple. It's practically a football helmet type of thing. It's even though they're doing these groundbreaking things, they are kind of by nowadays standards pretty common. So it's cool to see where they first arrive in history, or where they first kind of pop up in history. So maybe at the time all that stuff was just incredibly cutting edge, but yeah, again, more fun history.
They had to figure it out as they were going along, for sure. So yeah, like Dylan said, both of these kits, the larger and the smaller model, are available on the Brickmania website. So if you're interested in picking those up, definitely encourage you to do that. Stuff tends to sell out pretty quickly at Brickmania, so get on that fast if these look like kits that you'd like to own, and I think they'll look great on display as well.